Welcome to the Quick Talk Podcast with Joshua Latimer, where we discuss business, life, family, faith, struggle, fire, pain, and ultimately winning.
It's time to take massive action. Look, I can't work harder on your life or business than you do. It's ultimately all on you.
You know, God created all the food the birds would ever need, but he doesn't put it in their nest. You've got to go get it.
10 out of 10 people die. So how about doing something today that actually matters while you still can? Don't be nervous, guys. I'm a pro. I've done like 100 of these.
Oh, okay, so you're a professional.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
La 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 la.
Are you kidding?
What? The professionals do it. Okay, I'm ready for real this time. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Quick Talk Podcast. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Spring is here. It's come upon us very quickly, and it's almost 80 degrees in Michigan today. I know most of you are busier than snot, probably listening to this, running estimates at 8 p.m. and it's dark, and your wife is texting you passive-aggressive messages because you were supposed to be home at 6. And maybe that's not the case, but in any event, I hope you're making lots of money, having lots of fun, and your businesses are growing. And what I want to do is I have my wife with me, and we're going to do a 3-part podcast series that I'm excited about. And the theme is how to kill overwhelm, get clarity, and start loving your business again. Now, a portion of you are madly in love with your business. A portion of you are passive-aggressively fighting with your business right now because it's sort of working, but there's things that are broken and not working. And some of you are just wondering, why did I do this? Like, is this ever going to change? How you just feel trapped. You feel enslaved by your own dream. And I know that feeling. My wife definitely knows that feeling. It's always sexy and fun and exciting to start something. Super hard to finish stuff. Would you agree with that, Ashley?
I completely agree. It is just living life. You can get really overwhelmed, but being a business owner on top of that is extremely overwhelming, especially this time of year.
Yes. And we're not even into the real bad part. Like for most, well, the seasonality is different in different areas of the country, but for all of the Midwest, which is where we're from, the May, June, July window, those 3 months, it just gets totally crazy.
Totally crazy. I remember June, when you said someone gets home at 6 and their wife is texting them. June was like, if I saw you before 9, I was wondering what was wrong.
Right. Oh, business is falling apart. That's kind of like normal, and it needs to happen. Like, you need to put in the time. You don't want to get stuck doing that stuff for 10 years, but you know, while you're in the process of growing and scaling and automating and hiring and figuring things out and selling and feeling sick and wondering if you make payroll, like for the first few seasons, that's part of the deal, and that's okay. And hey, that's why I have this podcast, is to help you with that. So let's talk about killing overwhelm, because overwhelm, that feeling is an awful, gross, disgusting feeling, whether it's for business or anything. What do you think?
Being overwhelmed is that not everybody can see that you're overwhelmed. It's just a real feeling inside of yourself.
Ooh, good point.
And sometimes it overflows into your family, and there's just this stress of being overwhelmed, and you can't even identify the one major thing. And sometimes it doesn't have to be a major thing. Sometimes it's multiple things.
You can't even identify it sometimes when you feel overwhelmed. Like, you can be overwhelmed by one looming task, for sure. Sometimes, at least for me, I don't even really know what I'm freaking out about. It's just a concoction of lots of different things.
I completely agree. I know when it's like just go time, either with business or with family life, you know, being a mom, if you have a lot of things on your plate, when someone adds one more thing, it could even be as little as we ran out of milk and we need milk for the morning, and it just like sets you off, and then the whole night is a mess.
Like I'm overwhelmed, you don't know it, and I'm finally excited to come home, and you text me, hey babe, can you pick up some milk? And I'm like, okay, fine, I guess that's all I'm good for to this family is pick up some milk.
And then I wouldn't even know that you were
like,
home.
What are you talking about, you crazy weirdo?
I think we all do this with things, and I think with having your own business, there are a lot of things coming at you from all different directions. So your brain is like just trying to categorize all these things, and your relationships at home and your relationships with work and your customers.
It's just a lot.
It's just a lot.
Bottom line, it's a lot. The people listening to this have to understand this, what we're talking about. Like, this is the way it is for an entrepreneur. This is the path, my friends. It is not normal, and other people don't understand. But there are some things you can do to help. And
Yes.
we've been doing this a long time. We've been married 15 years this summer. Woo woo! Check it out. Can't believe it. That's amazing. And you didn't trade me in for a newer model yet. Like, by God's grace. Like, oh my gosh.
No.
So we've had overwhelming and stressful times very often in our journey, even recently, all kinds of stuff, because we take on a lot and do a lot of things. So let's talk about some practical tips.
Well, I was just going to say something real quick before we talk about our practical tips is I think the way you train yourself to deal with overwhelm, like if you're in your business and it's year one, or you're in your marriage and it's year one, the things that come at you, it might be smaller things, but you're going to be tackling bigger things. The longer you're married, the longer you're in business, you're going to be tackling things, but hopefully you'll gain some maturity and you'll be able to handle overwhelm better, because there's going to be bigger things that come at you. You're just at a different level of that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we handle things that would have threw me completely off the deep end 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we just deal with it, find a solution, reverse engineer, and get that crap done, man, right?
Yes.
We do. But now I'm like chasing even bigger dreams and things that cause a whole nother level of overwhelm and uncertainty and stuff. And listen, guys, I'm not like claiming that I have the answers to fixing overwhelm. Trust me, I don't. But I know the stuff we're going to talk about today is the truth. Mm-hmm. And we can drink a little of our own medicine here, I think.
And we do have some tips and tricks that we've learned through the past that were actually painful to learn. So if you could learn them now, it would be beneficial to you and your family and your business.
Right. That way, our pain from 7.3 years ago could actually help you, and something good will come out of that. The first one's laugh. So how do you kill overwhelm? How do you kill overwhelm, get clarity, and start loving your business again? Just laugh. Like, people take things so serious, and I see people in Facebook groups and stuff, and they'll like have an opinion like, this is the best pressure cleaner ever, and someone's like, no, it's not, you're an idiot. And we get so passionate about things that don't matter, and we get so stressed, and we have payroll, and you don't understand, I gotta make payroll, and this guy didn't show up today. All that stuff's true, but it's not an excuse not to just stop sometimes and laugh. Do you agree?
I completely agree. I remember there was this time in business, and I'm just thinking this off the top of my head, but I remember something really horrible happened when you had like 2 or 3 employees in the beginning, and it was like something pretty bad, and all you did was bust out laughing, and Robert was like, what's wrong with him? And you were like, there's nothing we can do to fix that. We'll just tell the customer we're sorry, and we'll fix our mistake.
Let's tell them we're utter failures, and we'll put our tail between our legs and go hide and hope we don't see them at the school events when our kids play together. No, laughing is important. I know, like, me and you have had some pretty epic, legendary marriage fights over the years.
Shh, don't tell people.
You're learning, and we don't have them anymore. Just kidding. They're literally all my fault. I'm a smart man for saying that. But sometimes, and this is a true story, you're going to hate that I'm saying this, but I remember this one time we were fighting, like yelling, screaming, the whole deal, like full on, just pissed at each other, right? And then one of us farted. I won't say which one. And then we instantly started busting out laughing. And look, the issue wasn't totally solved, but it made it easier to solve. You're shaking your head at me. You're so mad I just said that.
You're gross.
My point, though...
You just don't want to claim it.
Hey, everybody does... No, it was me. But the point is, as goofy and gross of a story as that is that in the midst of extreme tension, we started laughing, and it made it a lot easier to solve whatever it is that we're arguing about. And it's true in your business, too. If you can just relax for a second, it can give you a little burst of clarity.
Mm-hmm. And it makes life more enjoyable when you laugh, because if you get consumed with all the bad things happening in the world and in your business and in relationships, and just, it's too much. And so if you could enjoy the little things and laugh, and in the midst of that, I think you're going to be okay.
Yeah, so if you're feeling overwhelmed, ask yourself, have you laughed in a while? If not, put yourself in a situation where you're going to laugh for a few minutes. The second practical tip is to create space for yourself. I talk about this a lot. When I was in Costa Rica, we moved back to Michigan now, bought our dream home. Woo, woo, it's awesome. Mm-hmm. But when we were in Costa Rica, every single day, I went for a scooter ride on my pink scooter down dirt roads in Costa Rica for at least an hour, I'd listen to podcasts or I'd listen to nothing, and I'd see the monkeys in the trees and birds, and I'd just drive around and think. And it's a huge thing. I've always recognized that having space by yourself to think is important. And Ashley, you went through some stuff last year when we were in Costa Rica where we applied this tactic of creating space to help you break through some overwhelm. Tell us about that.
Last year, after I had our daughter, I had really bad postpartum depression. Ooh, it's going to make me like a little emotional. And I felt really trapped and just really overwhelmed and stressed out about life in Costa Rica and life with 4 children. And I was homeschooling, and I had all these things, and every little thing seemed to overwhelm me. Like, there was a lot of tragic things that had happened, and it was just so much. And so my husband said, well, it's okay, because you and Finley are getting on a plane tomorrow, and you're going to go celebrate Mother's Day at home, and you're going to surprise everybody. And so it was a great time for me to create space and reconnect with the people who loved me and supported me. And it was 2 weeks, which was probably really hard for Josh in Costa Rica with 3 boys.
We almost died.
They probably ate cereal every day. But it was huge. When I came back, I felt like I could conquer the world. Like, I just that having that 2 weeks really refreshed me and gave me a new perspective. New perspective on a situation is so huge.
Mm-hmm. Well, I saw this picture on the internet of a puddle. It was just a puddle, like on the road, but they did like this perspective photography shot from the perspective of an ant. And so the lens is like on the ground over the puddle, and it looks like a ginormous lake. It was really cool. But then they took another picture like with a normal phone camera, just looking down at a puddle next to someone's foot, and it was like insignificant. It was nothing. And that perspective can totally change if you create space. Now, just to spend more time on this, business owners don't do this.
No.
We don't give ourselves permission to like my business partner, Chris, he felt really bad because we're really busy at Sin Gym right now. And he had planned a fishing trip with his oldest son, and they went for just 3 days and went fishing. Like, why do we do that? I don't know what it is. It's hard for us to give ourselves permission to take a break, but we started businesses so we could do that. That was the whole point. We get away from it. We forget. I don't know what it is. It'd be easier to take a vacation working for someone else than it is working for ourselves sometimes.
I think it's really huge. I think if you don't create space for yourself, you'll eventually just crack, and you'll end up having days off just because you just need some mental clarity. Like, you'll have a breakdown.
Your body will just force you to have time off.
Yeah, it will shut down, and it will not be as fun. You know what I mean? You'll just be at a hopeless state. But if you can create space for yourself, and look how huge that is for his son too. I saw the pictures on Facebook, and it's like he slayed 5,000 fish.
Right. It's like
I think it was like 3, but
yeah, he caught like 3 fish, and it wasn't a big deal. But it is when you're like 6, or however, is he 5 or 6? I don't remember. But same difference. Create the space, and listen, plan it ahead of time. You know, if you're too freaked out, I know it's April when this podcast will go out, or early May when you're listening to this. You're about to go into the crazy time. Let's start strategizing right now when you're going to reach a breaking point, and let's create a little space for yourself. We're going to talk more, too, later, today and tomorrow, about the Automate, Grow, Sell experience, which is the ultimate space creation for yourself. It's the ultimate getaway. It's not a business conference. It's not a business conference or a convention where you study and take notes. No, my friends. It's an experience. It's all about killing overwhelm, getting clarity, and so you can start loving your business again.
I think it's going to change the way people are. Like, I mean, that's how big of hopes I have for this, and the planning that's going into this. Like, this is going to be something that if you want to take notes, great, but you aren't going to need to take notes because they're going to be inside. Yeah,
people have no idea, and because I haven't talked about it yet. We're working, and it's a very, very small, exclusive type of event, very intimate on purpose. We're going to over-deliver so hard, it's going to be ridiculous. People have no idea how much fun they're going to have at the Automate, Grow, Sell experience. Well, let's keep moving on our Kill Overwhelm list. So we want to kill overwhelm, so we force ourselves to laugh a little bit, watch some goofy Netflix stuff that makes you dumber but makes you laugh. It's worth it. Create some space for yourself. And then here's another one. Don't be an island, right? Don't be an island. Oh, you're the big tough guy that can conquer the world. Oh, you don't need to tell your feelings to your wife. You don't need to talk about the issues that are going on. You just hold it all inside, right? Well, that doesn't make sense. And it causes a volcanic eruption at some point, and that's not healthy. So killing overwhelm, how do we not be an island? Is it getting around like-minded entrepreneurs? What?
Well, I will tell you this. I'm going to say a little cautionary thing. You shouldn't tell everybody all of your stuff. They can't handle that information.
That's a fair point, yeah.
You shouldn't tell your employees everything that's going on. There's certain things that you need to keep private. Like if you tell your mom or a family member, they might not be able to handle the information you're going to tell them. So it needs to be with people you trust or with like-minded people or even a mentor who is even above your level because they can give you real good perspective.
That's really good.
You're welcome.
We didn't script that out. That's so true. I didn't even think of that, but you're right. I've made that mistake by oversharing information with an unqualified party. Whether it's sharing financial stress with a staff member, horrible idea, right? Because all they want in the world is certainty and stability, and you just take that away from them, venting. Don't do that. Mm-hmm. Then you have maybe really complex business stuff and you're trying to get unsolicited opinions from someone who has no idea what the heck they're talking about. That's also not good. I've done that too. Mm-hmm. So don't be an island. So make a list of the qualified people that you can share with. But the point being is share this stuff. I've been in a mastermind group for 18 months now. Actually, I think longer. And we don't do business together. We're just friends, and we just vent about stuff. And, there's no ulterior motive. I talk to my wife about all the stuff going on in our business. In fact, I drive her crazy. If I didn't do that, I would blow up. And actually, Ashley, you struggle with holding things in yourself. That's one of your things. Can we admit that on the podcast?
Wow, this is like therapy or something.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. In my family... When I was growing up, my family did not fight in front of each other, so I had to learn how to do that and discuss issues. What happens is that in our family, we would just build it up until you explode, kind of like a pressure cooker, until the top just flies off. And then it's just nasty. It's not cute. Do not live your life like that. I'm learning how to...
What's interesting about it, when you feel overwhelmed, you know how you said when your plate's full, one little itty-bitty thing, like ask me to get milk, I'm just like, oh, God, geez, nothing ever works out. My whole life sucks. I have to get milk, right? Even though getting milk is, so insignificant and not a big deal. It feels huge, like Mount Everest, but it's really not, which leads to our next point, which is making a list. And so let me ask you this. When you do finally blow up and vent and go, do you feel better or worse after you do let it out?
I actually feel better. So I'm learning how to communicate as I go because it's helpful to no one. It's not helpful to my husband or my children or anybody if I just blow up. So good communication and really not letting yourself be an island. Don't do it by yourself.
Yeah, and then you said before we started recording about making a list. Things feel so huge like Mount Everest, but if you actually write down all the stuff that's freaking you out, you're going to realize, the list isn't that big, and you're going to feel dumb. You're like, wow, really? I can do this.
So I mentor some younger women that are younger than me, and one had called, and she had an emergency, and everything was overwhelming, and she was very stressed out, and everything was overwhelming, and she said that they were all the same overwhelming, and I said, you need to stop, and I want you to prioritize what is overwhelming you the most. After we prioritized it, we found out it was just one thing.
Yeah.
And she was taking that burden and putting it into all the other things that were in her life.
Right. That one big one makes the milk feel like Mount Everest.
It does. And so after she prioritized them, she realized all the other things, she could conquer that. She just had to take little steps into conquering the big thing. Mm-hmm. And even that big thing wasn't a life-changing event. It just felt like it.
Right. It feels because you don't know the next action steps, or you don't have clarity, or maybe you're holding it inside. You haven't tried to build a strategy to get out of it, to accomplish it. I remember being totally overwhelmed by finding a way. Honey, if I could just find a way to make $500 a week cleaning windows.
The $500.
We're good. We're golden. I don't have to deliver pizza anymore. If I can just find a way. And it was like it would rack my brain and all these self-limiting beliefs, and I knew nothing. I had lots of enthusiasm, but I knew nothing. And that feeling of stress, it wasn't less stressful because it was only $500. And now I have goals where we want to make $100,000 on one webinar. And I'm like, oh man, we only did 70,000. And like, the level of feeling of intense stress and overwhelm, it's the same. Mm-hmm. But the way to solve it is also the same, which is to reverse engineer a plan, to get clear, to get yourself surrounded with smart people, start talking things through, start making lists and prioritizing. That's good. Another thing is, I'm a big fan of, is asking yourself, what's the worst that can happen? What are we so scared of? I'm talking to myself. It's like, what are we so scared of? Mm-hmm. You want to build a $100 million business and it's $12 million and you just hate your life now? Like, really? Did you really fail? You want to take your cleaning business to $1 million and you get to $712,000, but it's totally automated and you have a great family business? Really? Like, that's not failing. Like, mm-hmm. or let's look at what really the worst is. You could go bankrupt, or you could feel like a failure.
Yeah, you could. There's so many things that
are legitimately bad. You could handle it.
Yes.
You can still live. You still have your kids. You still have your brain. You can start over.
I think living in a third world country teaches you a lesson about how it could get. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm going to be able to verbalize this great, but like, I saw how people live, and they live joyful lives in what a lot of people in the United States would call severe poverty. Mm-hmm. But it's our perspective.
Right.
And so when you live in a third world country, it changes your perspective on what's the worst that can happen. And even that, you can still be joyful, and it's not that bad.
Right. And I'm a fan of writing it down. Literally write down. If you're so scared that you're going to go bankrupt or go broke, or you're scared that you won't make payroll, let's look that in the face. Let's really get clear about what you would feel if that actually happened, and then close your eyes and visualize you in this horrible state. It's official. You missed payroll. Your employee thinks you're a joke. They want to quit. Whatever your worst fear is, and let's just look at it, and you'll realize it doesn't have any teeth. Like, it's not as scary as you thought it was. Like, you could handle that. People go completely broke 4 or 5 times, and then still build an empire. Like,
I think Donald Trump went bankrupt and now he's president of the United States. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but.
Some of his companies went bankrupt. I don't know if he has personally, but one of my business heroes, Peter J. Daniels, amazing Australian businessman, super abrasive, crazy guy, but I look up to him. He was illiterate until like age 25. He was a bricklayer, built up and went broke, I think 3 or 4 times in a row.
Oh, wow.
His wife begged him to please get a job. Peter, why don't you just get a job? Why don't you just... And he just said, no, I'm not going to do it. He's just a relentless maniac, which, that's what I'm trying to be. Like, he's my hero for business. But what's the worst that can happen? It's not that bad. Write it down. Get clear about it. And do you want to add to that?
I was just going to say, if you don't write it down, it's the elephant in the room. It doesn't change if it's there or not. It's inside of you. Like, you have those fears still. If you don't label it and try to conquer it, it's still going to always be there.
Right. And how are you going to overcome your fear if you don't really stare at it? Even though it's scary to look at, just do it anyway. Like, we give that fear the power by avoiding it and pretending it doesn't exist. We need to stop and say, you know what? I am scared to be a failure. I'm scared that I'm going to do this and look dumb. I'm going to make a video and spend money and it won't convert. I'm going to, whatever it is, whatever kind of business you have. Let's just spend some time chewing on what that looks like, because it's not that big of a deal. I don't care what it is.
Mm-hmm. It's not that big of a deal. I'm going to try to put a pin in something, because you just said something that I just think I really need to talk to the spouses of entrepreneurs. You said that is it Peter Daniels? Peter
J. Daniels.
Peter J. Daniels. Yeah. I'm sorry, I forgot the J.
YouTube him. He's awesome.
But Peter J. Daniels, when his wife begged him to get another job, if you are the spouse of an entrepreneur, don't do that. I've done that. If you want to see a defeated entrepreneur, you say, go get a job. That's saying right there that you don't believe in what they're trying to do. Believe in them. Even if it's really hard to do, try to avoid that comment, because they need you. Oh, man, that is so true. I'm so lucky. I'm not trying to be cheesy, because we're sitting right across from each other, but to have a wife like you who really just... I don't really know why you're like that. I'm so glad that you are. Some of the most successful people that I'm friends with have spouses exactly the same way. They came from nothing. Was it easy? Of course not. It's horrifically difficult to accomplish big things and to live big. But guess what? If your business fails, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It means that product or service didn't work the way you thought it would. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have anything to do with you. So
I think we hold back because we place our personal self-worth and identity and attach it to our business. And me too. Like we got to be conscious of this. I am not Send Jim. I am not Automate Grow Sell. I'm Josh. I'm a husband, a father, and a friend, and a son. I'm a guy. I know certain things. I enjoy certain things. I'm still that guy whether or not all these businesses evaporate and vanish or don't. And guess what? My life's not even half over, hopefully, and I can do all kinds of stuff. So don't let your identity be trapped in your business. That's a whole nother tangent we could go down. Getting back to killing overwhelm.
Sorry.
No, that's good.
I just think it's really important for spouses of entrepreneurs to really encourage, even when it's hard to be encouraging. And I think it's also good for the entrepreneur to encourage their spouse and to speak vision into them. And Communication, yeah.
Communication, right? Because a lot of the entrepreneurs, they bottle it all up. They're going 100 miles an hour. They have all these hopes and visions, and their spouse maybe will kind of dig or poke at them, make a little comment. And instead of leading their spouse, instead of telling their wife, listen, let's remind ourselves, here's why we're doing this, and this is what the vision is, and here's what we're going to do by the end of this year. And then if we just do this for one more year, then we can have this thing. And we always wanted that cottage on the river, and we're going to take that family vacation, and we're going to be able to do this with our kids. You constantly have to revisit your why and communicate it. And I do that. Do I not?
Yes.
I do it without thinking about it. But I think a lot of people don't cast vision internally in their family.
Even for themselves, maybe.
Even for themselves. Remind yourself, why the heck are you getting out of bed every day? Why are you so stressed out that some customers mad at you? Why have you had your business for 12 years? There's no sales growth. You don't really make anything. If you fall off a ladder tomorrow, you're totally screwed. Why is that okay? Let's remind ourselves what we're trying to do and build a plan and get going on this stuff. There's only a couple more things on our list here, and we'll wrap it up. But another good tip to kill overwhelm is to do one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Focus. Follow one course until success. So maybe we can tie that back to that list you were talking about, Ashley. Once we have a prioritized list, every single thing on the list is irrelevant except the most important thing, right?
Yes.
And then when that's done, then you do that again. I'm not particularly great at focus. I think entrepreneurs have shiny object syndrome. Everything's interesting to me. I'm curious. I can go down rabbit trails. God help me if I find a funny YouTube video in the middle of the day, an hour's gone in the 2 seconds. But doing one thing at a time with focus is highly effective.
And it's just good use of your time. You can get more done if you're focused on things. So if you take that one thing that's the big elephant in the room and go conquer it, then...
Right. I've said this on the podcast before. I'm still not done with the book by Gary Keller. He's the founder of... Keller Williams Realty. He's a billionaire, super cool guy, really cool book. I got to finish it up, but the very first page when you open it, there's a quote. It says it's a Russian proverb, which is hilarious to me for some reason. I didn't know Russians had proverbs. That's probably totally racist. It says, if you chase two rabbits, you will not catch either one. If you chase two rabbits, you will not catch either one. Oh my God, am I guilty of that? I chase 7 rabbits, and I'm like, God, I can't catch these rabbits. It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
Why do we do that?
Which is funny because today you saved some baby ducks.
I did. I forgot, yeah. A couple hours ago after lunch.
Yes.
We had this great hibachi lunch, and the guy's doing tricks, and we're driving back to the office, and there's this duck with 12 babies, a lot of babies, going across a 5-lane main road in our hometown. All the traffic stops, and then 6 of her little ducks couldn't make it over the curb. Why are we talking about ducks again? I have no idea. It doesn't matter. The last point, guys, is...
It's because you're the rabbits. There's another reason of why shiny object.
I'm trying to focus here.
I know, one thing at a time. Gosh. But it was hard to get all the ducks because the ducks weren't listening. They were panicking, and they were going 45 different directions, and you're trying to save these ducks. And let's just put it this way, Mama only has 10 ducks now.
And then the mom just left them. She's like, well, I got 8 out of 12. I'm good. That's a good... It's fine. They can just die.
Oh, that was stressful.
Yeah. The last point is to celebrate the little wins that you've already accomplished, or the big wins. Remembering the wins. There's some people, I don't do this, I don't think we've ever done this, but it seems like a good idea, where you actually write down and you journal or you document wins, things that seemed impossible that you accomplished, even little things, even from when you were a kid, teenage years. Go back and figure out what is something amazing that you've done, because we forget, and then when it's hard and you start doubting yourself, you forget how freaking awesome you are, how cool you are, the things that you've conquered and taken on and learned from. And sometimes we're so focused on tomorrow that we don't even pat ourselves on the back like a little bit for yesterday, right?
Yeah, I think that would help people fall in love with their business if they really take a time to have it be winning, to say, yeah, this was a win. Even the smallest win is a win. Mm-hmm. And we forget that.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. I mean, if you have a business that does $50,000 a year and you go online and you're like, wow, I'm a peon and all that. No, you're not. Are you kidding me? Like, that's amazing. You've accomplished an incredible thing. You're the master of your ship, man. And you're doing stuff and living a life that like 99% of the people on the entire planet have never experienced. Yet we only care about getting to 100,000 of revenue. And then when we do that, of course, we feel really cool and cocky for 2 seconds. We realize that, well, lots of people have done that. That's not a big deal. I got to get to 500,000. But it never stops. Mm-hmm. You know, we have a friend in Arizona, right? Mm-hmm. Won't say any names, but really smart guy, like grew up in poverty. He makes over $1 million a month now. He has financial services company. I've seen his TV commercials on Fox News. Like, I'm like looking at him like, what the heck? Like, that's crazy. He's not happy. Mm-mm. He's not happy. Doesn't have a family. He can't trust anybody. He makes so much money now that it's just not possible to let people in, you know, unless you were part of his life the whole time. You're going to be skeptical. You're going to be terrified to lose what you have. Like, I don't want that. I was eating dinner with Chris Lamborghini's, who stopped by our office in Michigan for something briefly, and we were talking about that. It's like, when is enough?
Yeah.
Like, we need to define that kind of up front, because there isn't really an end. It just goes forever until you're dead. And I posted, remember the Russian billionaire that killed himself? Or not Russian, German billionaire killed himself because he made a bad stock deal, like shorting Volkswagen stock or something. He bet big, lost like half of his wealth. He was still a billionaire. He went from like $9 billion to $2 billion or something.
Still a billionaire.
The guy kills himself. What the heck? Talk about overwhelm.
Celebrating the wins is really big if you have a family or a spouse.
Huge.
It's even good for your extended family. Maybe you're not married, or maybe you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or maybe it's just for your grandparents or your mom or your dad. Pull somebody in with you so that when you share the wins, it encourages you to keep on going when it does get hard. It will get hard.
And you're a fun person, Ashley. You just are. You're hilarious.
I don't know about that, but thanks.
So it's easy to celebrate the wins because you have no problem like putting glitter on stuff and getting balloons and having like a huge party for like the silliest things just for fun, like with our kids or whatever. And even when I launched my boot camp originally, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, okay, we told our kids, like, when we get this many boot camp members, we're going to do this thing. And then we did the thing. And like every day, like, hey, Dad, how many boot camp members? You know, we have over 200 and something in there. But at the time, there was none. I'm like, man, you know, this is freaking me out. I put all this work into it. But that was us celebrating the wins.
Mm-hmm. We did that with camping. I remember like at first 2 or 3 years in business, you were gone like all the time. And we're like, if we could just get to this number. And the kids, you know, they were little. They were like 3 and 4.
But me and you were doing it.
Yeah. But we told the kids, hey, when we get to this number, we're going to Yogi Bear Park. Do you remember going to Yogi Bear Park?
Oh, yeah. It's a campground, except a guy in a big Yogi Bear costume walks around and shakes the kids' hands and
now
stuff.
Now that I'm thinking about it, it's super creepy. But our kids got to go to Yogi Bear Park. His dad. And you know what? Kids, this is another thing just about being a parent. I know you're not all parents. But kids do sacrifice sometimes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They also reap the rewards of a business owner, especially in the future if they grow up. And it can be super rewarding, but they also will do some sacrifice. So it's good to bring them in on the wins.
Yeah, I try to be so transparent with my kids, you know, about how their life isn't normal. Because they just think it's normal that you can move to Costa Rica and just do whatever you want and live this big life. We've traveled, we've spent money on things people couldn't imagine doing, and it's insane. I don't want my kids to think that that's just the way that it is, because it's not. But we try to do a good job communicating along the way of, okay, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it. Daddy's going to work really hard, and hopefully it takes, you know, a year and a half, but it might take like 2.5. But I'd rather invest more time now so that we can have this certain thing. But every time we hit a milestone, then we can do this special getaway or mini vacation. We do weekend getaways all the time. We go to hotels and just swim in the pool, and that was like our cheap getaway thing.
And some of you, even listening to this podcast, this might be an overwhelming podcast because it's bringing up overwhelm in you. And you're like, I can't even think about when I'm going to be able to celebrate a win. Set a small goal and have the win be your favorite dessert. Like, I remember a time when Josh and I couldn't get appetizers or dessert when we went on our dates, and we went really cheap, and I had to have a coupon.
Hashtag first world problems.
It was, but dessert's a big deal when you don't eat it. Like, set little goals for yourself. If you're at the big level, set the big goals.
Yeah, go for it. But let's recap, everybody. So how do you kill overwhelm, get clarity, so you can start loving your business again? Well, from our perspective, because we've been there, we think laughing is important. We think creating space is very, very important. Don't be an island. Don't let it build up like a volcano and explode. Make a simple list, because it won't be as long as you think. Prioritize the list. Ask yourself, what is the absolute worst thing that could happen if I really went all out for this and didn't make it? Do only one thing at a time. Focus, follow one course until success, and celebrate the wins along the way, because all of you listening to this have accomplished something. You've taken a step, or you're preparing to start a business, or you did last year. It might not be an empire yet, but you've already accomplished stuff. I remember our first year in business, we had a Christmas party, and we had an award ceremony for our whole company, which was one person. Mm-hmm. We're at a steakhouse.
And his girlfriend.
I gave it like a speech. I'm like, for the annual blah, blah, blah company Christmas party, the Golden Squeegee Award goes to, and my one employee's looking at me like I am a complete freak, right? But in a good way, because it was fun.
But that Golden Squeegee, which was just spray painted gold,
right?
An old nasty squeegee, ended up becoming the thing everybody wanted when there's tons of employees. It became a thing. And now he can say, I was the first golden squeegee. You know what I mean? Like, it's a big deal. It's
Totally, completely. Well, hey, listen, there's going to be some links in the show notes. We're doing 3 podcasts in a row. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about productivity hacks and ninja tricks, things you can do to trick your own brain so you actually accomplish the stuff that you need to accomplish, right? Because we hold ourselves back. We are our own biggest bottleneck, self-limiting beliefs, all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But the call to action for this series is really, announcing the arrival of this Automate, Grow, Sell experience. This is an opportunity for you to meet me and my wife in our home in Ludington, Michigan. In fact, we're one of the top tourist destinations is the area we live. It's a very beautiful part of northern Michigan. We have a beautiful property on 23 acres. It's not about our house. It's about having a quiet, intimate space to dig into your business and to get some one-on-one coaching, consulting, not just from me, but I'm flying in some multi-million-dollar CEOs of cleaning companies from all over the world and that are going to come and help you one-on-one. Where can you get that? When can you do something like that? That does not exist. It's a very small event. There's only 30 spots available. You get to bring a guest with you. Every single thing is included. The cost might seem a little bit high because we're looking for a certain type of person. It's $2,000, but all you got to do is show up. All of your meals are provided for. All of your lodging is provided for. You don't even need to bring a pen, okay? This is an over-the-top, super high perceived value, ridiculous experience that you will never, ever, ever forget. I promise you. There's going to be lots of these in the future. It's already half sold out. And so take action on it. Make it happen. Create the space for yourself. Good grief. Invest in your own space, mental sanity, so that you can kill your own overwhelm, get the clarity that you need, and start loving your business again. Or even if you do love your business, it's going to be amazing. So if you want information about it, you're just going to want to click the link in the podcast show notes. I can't remember the URL off the top of my head. I think it's automategrowsell.com/experience. Is it experience spelled normal? Mm-hmm. Okay. So go there, check it out. We'd love to have you with us. It's going to be amazing. And I don't want to give away all the secrets, but there has been talk about a helicopter.
Oh gosh, the helicopter.
Maybe I'll descend down on a helicopter and we'll have a videography crew slow motion it, and we'll make some point about getting clarity and zooming out, but do it for real.
Okay, just so everybody knows, my husband wants to come down on a rope on a helicopter.
And land on the top of our castle house.
Yes. I'm kind of vetoing this because it sounds very dangerous. I'm going to have 5 children by then. But there's going to be big things like helicopter rides. Now they're going to rate it.
No, I can't promise a helicopter. I'm still working out the logistics. I just want you to know this is not a normal thing. And if you think this is a business conference, you are so confused, and you need to message me about it if you're interested in going. You just got to put a half down for the deposit so we can save your spot. Hey, listen, we'll see you tomorrow. Ashley, thank you for your time, too.
Thank you.
Love you. You're cute. Hey, thanks for hanging out, friends. And from all of us here at the Quick Talk Podcast team, we hope you loved today's show. We hope that you were inspired to become a doer and not just a listener. Apply what you've heard today in your own business and watch things change for the better. Lastly, remember that all the money in the world can't save your soul. Seek first the kingdom of God, my friends. We'll see you next time.
For more information about the Quick Talk Podcast or Joshua's other businesses, visit our website, quicktalkpodcast.com. Have a blessed day.